Welcome to Elite Broker, the podcast showcasing the leading players and stories of success from Australia's broking industry.
Hello and welcome back to Elite Broker. I'm your host for today, Annie Kane. And in this week's episode, we're talking to a BDM turned broker who's been in the game for the last 10 years, smashing the lights out here in Sydney. Fabio De Castro from Simplify Finance is a broker who used to be known to probably about 500 brokers here in New South Wales as he was managing the BDM team New South Wales for A&P Bank, and prior to that worked as a lending specialist at Bank West. But 10 years ago in 2016 made the leap into broking and hasn't looked back since, building a thriving brokerage here in St. Leonard's. So in this episode of Elite Broker, we brought him into the studio to find out how he does it. Welcome, Fabio. How are you going?
Thank you for having us. I appreciate it. That was very nice, kind words. It just reminds me how long I've been doing this. It's a long time.
Yeah.
Yes.
10 years ago, you made the leap into broking. So you were in banking before. And before we came on the podcast, I was stalking your background to be like, well, what is his route? And I saw that you actually studied applied finance at university.
Yes. Yeah, I did.
So did you always want to be in finance?
Yes, I did. I think it was not really a choice. So I came to Australia, I was on my own. I was 17, couldn't speak English, and I needed to find a path for residency. So I literally just went through whatever colleges at the time that we were giving sponsorship. So I went through commerce and economics.
Yeah.
And then after that, I just really fell in love with it. And then I started doing applied finance and financial planning and all that. But yeah, there's a bit of a bookworm, I suppose.
Where did you come from?
Brazil.
Brazil.
Yeah, so I came here, was 17. Family was doing a bit tough. Brazil was going through some tough things and I had to sort of pack and run away. So that's essentially my story. Yeah,
wow.
I just came to Australia.
Ran away and went straight into finance.
No. I was a dishwasher for about 4 years, learned how to cook.
That's very handy.
And yeah, that sort of took me through the whole journey, through paying for university and managing to stay in Australia. But yeah, there's a lot more to it.
And are you a citizen now?
I'm a citizen. Yeah, I have been for 10 years.
Yeah. So you studied applied finance.
Yes.
Was the idea that you wanted to kind of get into banking? Did you know you wanted to be a broker at the end of the day? Like, why?
Oh, no. I always wanted to work in banking. Like, I did fall in love with economics and numbers. Like most people, when you finish economics and you finish applied finance, you want to go and work for a big firm and all that. I suppose my story was a bit different. I couldn't get any interviews. Maybe Fabio De Castro doesn't help on the resume.
It's a fantastic name.
It was just like who's this guy? Some guy's going to come in with the blonde hair. No, it was really tough to get into finance. And Bank West. Shout out to Bank West. I have a very soft spot for them. They gave me a shot. I was a teller at a Bondi Junction branch, and that's when I started learning how to obviously do car loans, credit cards, and then moved into mortgages. And then from there, thought I wanted to be a financial planner.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I went across to A&P. So I left Bank West to go to A&P to study to be a planner. I did the academy and then really did not enjoy it. So at the time, I was just sort of hit a roadblock, and a friend of mine said, the A&P banking is looking for a BDM at the time. And then I got a job as a secondment. Someone was on maternity leave, and then my boss at the time sort of hired me to be an A&P BDM, and they gave me the weirdest portfolio that I could put together, very small groups, and then say, go for your life. And I think I did okay. I think most brokers listening, I probably know a lot of people from being there at BDM.
Well, that's probably I think how most people will recognize the name. They'll be like, oh, sure, I've talked to him before. Yeah. So you were at A&P for a while.
Yes. I was there for, I would say 4 or 5 years. Yeah. So it was a great place to work for. Had its challenges at the time. And, but it really allowed me to understand broking. I had no idea what broking was about, third party was about. I was always working at branches and working within obviously direct to consumer.
Yeah.
So making that change to obviously third party was eye-opening. I didn't even know there was a world out there of brokers. I didn't even know anything about it. Yeah.
So you ended up having to manage all of these millions of phone calls from brokers day in, day out at AMP.
All amazing ones.
Yeah, of course. And when you think about that then, like, what was the sort of turning point for you to be like, maybe I'm going to do this myself?
I think it was really understanding a lot of business. And as a BDM, like there's different types of BDMs. I was a type of BDM that I wanted to understand their business just so I could really sell my product. Like every other bank in Australia, there you have things that you're really good at. There's things that you're not good at. And at the time, and everyone used to make fun because I used to sell a lot of like equity releases. AMP used to be good for it. So I really wanted to understand people's business so I could sort of tailor my offering to it because I was limited to that offering. And then there's sort of, I became friends with a few brokers and I sort of understand what they do. And I guess you see good businesses and you see, let's say, bad businesses and you see opportunity. So then when I was doing that, I sort of wanted to, give it a crack for myself and try and build my own thing. And that's why I did it.
Wow.
So, yeah.
But you so you left bank and then you went briefly to Oxygen.
Yes, I was there for a while.
Okay.
Oxygen was a big part of it.
So you were with Oxygen for a while, which is owned by McGrath.
Yes.
So what kind of loans were you doing there, and why did you think that was an attractive jump for you?
I used to look after a few of the Oxygen brokers, and for me, like when I was a BDM, if you look at, like I'd moving to Australia, I had no family here. So when you start as a broker, what do? You go friends and family. Like all my friends and family, well, I had no family here. All my friends were in finance. They were all brokers or bankers. So I had no database to tap into it. My whole career was based around banking. So what I thought it was a good idea, which in the end it was great. It was Oxygen just really suited me at the time. They had a great relationship with McGrath. Well, they still have a great relationship with McGrath. And it allowed me to sort of build my client base based on that. So I did all the fun stuff, open houses and go and give your business card and work in real estate offices and learn their business and learn how a real estate agent operates and what can I do to add value to their business. And as opposed to like most brokers, when they approach a real estate agent, is like, oh, I can give you $500 or whatever. We never did that. It was more like, okay, if you're sitting in someone's living room and you're charging them 1.5%, 2%, what is the add value? I can be that add value. You can say you have a finance guy just vetting everyone for auction. Make sure you have everything ready to get the best offer. So that's sort of what I did to position myself.
And get leads.
And then get leads. So essentially, that's why we joined Oxygen, and then they've been a big part of my journey so far, yes.
And then recently made the leap over to SFG.
Yeah, so how long have it been? 6 years now. So it's been a while.
Not that recent.
Yeah, not that recent.
Beginning of this decade,
I've been with them for a while. So I started with AFG and then I went to SFG.
Okay, so why make the moves and how did you find that process? For anyone thinking about changing aggregator, any words of warning, any tips?
It is more challenging than people say. I think I was 3.5 years in, so I had a decent book, but it wasn't a massive book. So it does take time for you to adjust with a new CRM, adjust with new people and all that. I think for me, the decision at the time, it was more looking for someone that was going to be more of a strategic partner in my business. So when you look at aggregation, most people just go, someone that pays my comms and give me a CRM. I think there should be more than that. I think the good ones are more than that. I think they are starting to understand that they can be a big part of their business, that they can help you fund acquisitions, they can help you really grow your business, because it can be a lonely sort of industry, as we may know. I think that's what happened. Like obviously they do have a great CRM, but it was more the connections that I had with Will and Blake that sort of made me choose SFG. Yeah. I managed to leave AFG and stay with Oxygen as a referral partner because I was doing really well with their leads and I was looking after their clients, and it was nothing towards Oxygen. It was just an aggregation decision. So at the time I left AFG and I did a like a referral agreement to Oxygen back. So I still managed to keep that relationship. But over the years, the Simplified business, which was my business, grew sporadically more than my Oxygen business. So it made sense to eventually just walk away from that.
I mean, I think this is interesting as well because you kind of have like dual roles then because
Yes.
you were doing all the Oxygen loans, but
As
you're
an
also
option,
building, your own business, Simplify, and
Yeah.
having to generate organic leads
Yeah.
and new leads that weren't a part of the McGrath kind of, real estate
Environment.
partnership.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So how do you go about doing that? Like, do you have to kind of segregate the two things?
Yeah, we were very big on it. Marketing has to be completely segregated. Like everything. If we had a marketing software, it has to have 2 logins. Everything was 2 logins. And I suppose at the time, that's one of the reasons I also left my previous aggregator because I had to physically log out, go to a different login. And with the new aggregator, I could just flick screens and it's a little bit more, it's easier to sort of transition that to email addresses, to everything, to business cards.
And so slowly turned off the Oxygen.
Yeah, that's sort of
Relationship.
gradually when you start, real estate leads are very good, but they can be very time consuming. And as you build your book and you build your relationships, you start relying less on them. And then for me, I think the business transition into something different. It transitioned more into, more wealth creation as opposed to, hey, I need to get ready for Oxygen.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
like my business was transition and evolving to I am Brilliant.
I mean, thank God we're not doing it in Portuguese. I wouldn't have no help.
English is my second language. I just want to remind everyone. But yeah, I think my business was evolving to something different at the time, which
And
I
I
love
think
it.
that again is a really common role that we see,
Yes.
or a really common evolution that we see brokers go through is they kind of start with, a group, and then as their business evolves and their clients evolve, they kind of evolve
Yes.
with them. So you might be, 20 years old when you first start out and you've got first home buyers and you're focused on that
Yeah.
and car loans. And then as your clientele get older, you kind of think, well, now I'm going to do much more like second home buyers and upgraders.
And you don't necessarily choose that either.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times people put pressure on this. Yeah, again, in a perfect world, you want to create your ideal client and go for it. I definitely believe in that school of thought, but a lot of times it happens, right? You help one person, and if you do a good job, that next person normally will have similar challenges, and then that sort of becomes your database.
Yeah. And of course, like this is also something that we talk about a lot is being like, well, do you specialize? Do you start in one thing and do everything?
Yeah.
Like, do you think new brokers, when you first start out, should be doing everything?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not. I was very against the grain of that. Like when you start broking, everyone tells you got to do everything because you got to protect your book and you got to write asset, you got to write person. I really genuinely don't think that's the case. I think if you look at my business, and again, that's what worked for me, it was very, I'm not going to say boring because it's just my life, but it was very good at one thing, which is resi lending.
Yeah.
I never, until recently, and again, we can talk about it, started obviously the diversification into different areas, but I did it in a way, along the journey, I did it in a way that I'd sort of partner myself with people that were good doing certain things. So I always wanted to be the best residential broker. If a commercial lead comes in, it gets referred. If an asset finance lead comes, do you know what I mean? So I really wanted to master that craft. Once you do that and you build that environment, then it allows you to diversify your business to other sort of areas.
So do you think then it's important that you do have referral partners at least that you can refer off to rather than just being like, I can't help you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would never say I can't help. It's more like, who do I have in my network, in my avatar that can help you do that?
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break here, Fabio. When we come back, I'd like to talk about how you actually built your business and who's who in the team, what sort of things and tools and tech you're using. And we'll get into that just after this message. So, Fabio, you've said we a few times there. When you talk about the team, who is in Simplify Finance? How many of you are there?
We went through a massive hiring spree in the last 12 months. So it's 16 now.
Whoa.
But most of my last financial year was 8.
Yeah.
So I literally doubled my team. Yeah.
Yikes. How are you finding that process?
It's been challenging, and it makes sense to what we're trying to do. So for me, we always build a process that allowed me to obviously write a decent amount of volume. And that's what, again, goes back to what I was saying before. I wanted to have the best process that I believe that works for me. And then now where do I take it from there? So now the journey is not really about me. It's about the business and how do we scale.
Yep.
And that's what I'm going through. And that comes with obviously hiring a team. But I always say we, I never say I.
Even if it's just you.
Nah.
We do the royal we.
Always.
Yeah. But okay, so let's I'm going to unpack quite a bit of how and why you're building the team. But first off, so let's go FY26. You were 8 people.
Yes.
How many loans do you reckon you were writing as a team?
We did shy of 400.
Okay.
Yeah.
So quite a lot. And how many brokers are in that?
Just me.
Just you?
Yeah.
That's a huge amount.
Yes.
So what do the other 7 people do?
So I have a business partner. He does day-to-day operation BDM. And then I have a credit team. And then I have someone that I've been obviously training to become a broker and sort of replace me. Mm-hmm. And then we have a settlement sort of after settlement care team. So if I broke the process into obviously the inquiry and then credit and then settlement.
Yeah.
So there's a variety of people around that support that journey.
I mean, I think this is also an interesting question. So I've been trying to ask brokers on the podcast recently, being like, at what point is it unsustainable to be doing everything on your own? Because a lot of new brokers will ask us that question. And I'm like, it's a fantastic question. I don't actually know. Yeah. At the moment, people are saying once you get over 100 loans a year, that's probably where you start getting to like capacity. Do you reckon that's the case? Is there a different, when did you start kind of bringing on?
I always did volume. I think 100 million broke me.
100 million.
Yeah.
What's your average loan size? Can we reverse
my average
engineer?
loan size is always been like 500.
Okay.
So
I was
200. I was broken.
Yeah. 200 loans. Yeah.
So I think that's when you really, that's when the wheels start falling off.
Well,
and it's just more as you write loans and everyone focuses on the front end, right? So the more loans you're writing, the bigger your book gets. The bigger your book gets, the more inquiries you have to fulfill. Like, because we're still in the business of customer service. They still call you to ask you questions about, should I fix, should I not fix? Why is my direct debit not working? Why did the bank did this? Did they pass the interest rate? So the bigger your book gets, the more customer service you have to invest in your business, and you can't do that and the front end. So I think when you get to a level that your book size gets to like 200, 250, that's also another mark that you need to really
250
million. Yeah.
So not number. Yeah.
No. So you kind of, that's when you go, I need to invest in this. Right?
Yeah.
I need to start running this in a better way.
And for anyone listening who is in a regional area thinking 250 million, wouldn't that be lovely? We appreciate everyone's average loan sizes are different sizes, which is why I typically ask for number of loans, because obviously that can really determine how much work you're doing. Yeah.
I'm still in Sydney and I don't have $1 million average loan size. I would love to.
Yeah. So you're based in St. Leonard's with 7 other people. Are they all with you in an office? Are they offshore, onshore?
Majority is onshore. We were always big on having in Australia. I think we're trying to shift that mindset as we scale, because again, different business. When you're a single broker, you keep a lot of that margin, so you can invest in Australia, have credit here, and then you have the support overseas to do all the tasks. As we scale and we take ourselves to the next journey in the business, we need to even that number a little bit out. If that makes you have to go a little bit more overseas to keep it sustainable.
Yeah. And of course, you're not just doing resi, you have also asset finance offerings, and you have kind of different brokers doing that. How do you structure that? Is it all part of the same group, or is it just referred out?
Yeah, we're building what we call a diversified financial services business. So essentially we have the mortgage broking, we have an asset finance arm, we have an accounting, we have buyer's agents now, and we have a processing business for other brokers to process their loans. So essentially all
external
of those,
brokers.
Yeah, external brokers. So we process loans for a lot of, because invariably, like if you're a good broker, you like to help people. Otherwise you're in the wrong industry, right? So a lot of people used to call me like, oh, how are you writing 200 mil single man operator? And this is the process that I built. And I still help a lot of people. But then an idea came about, a friend of mine, Kath, we started a processing business that we sort of mimic those attributes or the skill set that I built for myself, and we allowed them to sort of plug into it.
Is that still is it called Simplified?
It's called simplified processing, yeah.
Interesting.
Very, everything is simplified. So,
I mean, it makes sense.
It makes
it simple.
It's all under the same environment.
Yeah.
Yes.
So is that now the full 16 is across all of those different arms?
No, the broking is 16 just because there's 2 new brokers joining us. So eventually, I can't talk about it yet. So there's 2 brokers coming. My business partner Mark is coming across as a broker now.
Oh, fun.
And then Kylie, that has been with me for 5 years,
a GM.
sort of putting up with me over the last 5 years. She is coming in as a broker as well. So
Yay.
watch this space.
Well,
I'm very happy.
That's
she's
exciting.
incredible. My business partner is a great broker. So I think it was more like I always did it because I was more of a BDM. But now I really feel like we have the right people really, really doing that craft.
Was that always your goal then, to build a business where you're kind of doing less of the loan writing and bringing in more people?
Yes.
From day one?
From day one.
Was it about building a business then?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is a very small mind shift that people take it for granted. A lot of people, including myself, like you think you run a business, but you're a broker and you have, a team around you. Running a broking business is a completely different mindset, and you start thinking of less of like, how do I structure that deal? How do I write 100 loans to? How do I build a process so the machine writes X with or without me? And it's about that discrepancy and the disconnection. That sometimes people, I run a business. No, you're a broker with a team. I always wanted to run a business.
Yeah.
So that's the main sort of difference there.
And I think we've been seeing this increasingly the last few years, particularly as broking kind of hits maturity and the first wave of brokers start retiring, is like getting this next evolution of broking. So I think in the last couple of years, really, well, actually 6 years since COVID, we've seen so much consolidation. So people merging with one another, people buying other businesses, and broking businesses getting bigger and bigger. So, the big players 10 years ago would have had maybe 10 brokers, whereas now it's not uncommon to see a brokerage with 25, 50 brokers. You know, it's kind of, that's happening increasingly.
Yeah.
Do you think that's because people are just getting more professionalized? Like, as you said, like having a diversified financial services business rather than a small sort of sole trader broker. Do you think
100%.
it's about that?
I think as an industry, we are becoming, it's not that we're not professional before, we're just getting better, right? We're getting better at our craft. We're getting better at servicing our clients. It's really more solutions driven than, what's the cheapest interest rate. I think we're just getting better as an industry to helping clients. And that's why obviously our, market share is growing, and it just makes sense because we're really, when things get complicated, that's when advice is needed. So the harder it is the amount of banks that we have in Australia, the way they price loans and the variety of products that we have, that so-called confusion, you need guidance, right? And I think as a single man operator, and again, I have nothing against that, it's just not for me, but it's just going to become harder and harder because unless you build a team around you in terms of referral relationships to be someone that you can refer to a good accountant, to a good financial planner, you have to bring that in-house. And then, so you either have that choice, you either become a bigger entity where you have multiple people helping each other, cross-pollinating ideas, or you're a single man operator that has a good network or referral partners. There's no way to just be a single man
doing
broker
everything,
sitting there just writing loans. It doesn't exist anymore.
I think it's really funny. I've been talking to people about this and being like, it's so unusual now to have someone who at least doesn't have any kind of support. Like most brokers will have, themselves, and then they might have someone either offshore or someone else doing some of the processing. Yeah. But it's really rare now to meet a broker who does absolutely everything. Like maybe brokers in their first 12 months, but even then, most new brokers now starting
VA straight
exactly.
Away. Yeah,
so I think
100%.
it's really, really rare. If you are a sole practitioner broker and you have absolutely zero support, let me know. I'd be interested in finding out how you do it. Yeah,
me too.
So you mentioned there about doubling to 16. So at the end of FY27, what will the broking team look like?
I think the staff, I'm okay with 16.
That's a lot of people to manage.
That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of clients.
I think broker-wise, I think we
days.
can go to 5 to 6 easily, maybe more. I don't I'm on this crossroads in my life. I don't want 30 to 40 brokers. I don't want that either. So I think we can do something still boutique and small, but high volume. So if you look at numbers, and again, I don't love talking about it, but it just gives context. So if I've been doing 200 mil for the last 4 years consecutive, if I have then 5 brokers doing that, you know what I mean? So for me, that's the goal. That's where I think the journey is, but knowing myself, it changes as we speak. So
you'll see how it goes.
Just call me 6 months.
Yeah. Like, are you still alive? How do you find that change from going from being a broker where you're doing everything to actually having a team where they might have a slightly different way of doing things? I know that the common question we get when people start building a business is being like, I have my way. If I'm hiring someone and they can't do it my way, I don't want them to join me because this is how I do it. It's my business.
Yeah.
How do you manage that kind of conflict?
I'm the opposite. I actually have my way, but I hire people that do different ways.
Okay.
Because I believe in, building a team for the same reason. Like if I look at my business partner Mark, we've been together and we're different skill sets, right? He's more operations and he's more technical. I'm more sales. So we always complemented each other. I think it's a mistake. If you want to run your business and you go, hey, I'm the best at this, and this is the right way to do it, and this is my way, then you're never going to run a business, right? You're never going to have a team around you. You're never going to have the right culture, because it's not even just having that person there, but if no one is allowed to have an opinion, what culture are you breeding, right? So for me, it was always look at yourself. Where are we failing? What are the things that I don't enjoy doing? Or are the things that I'm not good at it? And just be real with yourself and then just hire based on that.
Yeah.
So that's, to me, is the number one thing.
So you're willing to accept new ideas and complementary skills apart from when it comes to processing. So you mentioned about having a very strict processing structure.
Yeah.
How have you built that? What does that look like?
Again, was just trial and error, over years of tweaking. But again, if you go back to my latest hire, which is a GM, was the best thing I ever done. And he looked at my process and he goes, it can be better. And you have to be okay with listening to that. A lot of people take it personal. Again, it's your baby. You built that.
Yeah.
But to your point, I'm still okay with changing the process. We're actually in the process of doing a lot of things differently because it was always centric on one broker. So now we're bringing other brokers, and as much as we want them to follow a process, I need them to be themselves. I don't want them to be robotic. So we need to find a way to tailor what we do to, accommodate their personality and the way they communicate, the way, sometimes they want to do a quick calculation with the client on the phone. Sometimes they want to pass it to the credit team. So we need to have some sort of flexibility, and we're in the process, obviously, changing that.
So constant improvement.
All the time.
Can you let me know what it was that he thought could be better? An example of an improvement process just to inspire other people?
It goes back to sometimes you think you're running a business and you're a broker with a team around you. I think my processes were not very well documented.
Right.
It made sense. It was in my head, right?
Yeah.
So
I know what I'm doing.
I'm sure it will work.
Yeah.
I think it wasn't as clear as we grew what person does what, because we never had a manual. I know a lot of brokers have manuals and they do and with AI these days it's a lot easier, but I think my process was always documented, but it should have been better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so easy as well. At Better Business, the summit we do earlier in the year, one of the speakers, Maxine Horn, who's this major entrepreneur, she was talking about the fact that it really is common in small businesses, particularly if you've hired friends and family, because you get so used to them just doing extra bits.
Yes.
And then you never really formalize that they're doing the extra bits.
100%.
As soon as you start growing, you're like, who used to do that?
Yeah. I'm like, who does that again?
Yeah.
Oh, that person.
It's but they only just do it just because they started. So unless you actually put in a job description or you have this is the process and who does what.
So it was an eye-opening. When he came in, Al, he came in from previous experience in running bigger businesses. So he looked at me, he goes, I get it because I know you. I know Al for 15 years. and I know your personality, I know what you're trying to do, but we need to document this.
Yes.
We need to really, and now we're building culture, right? We need, like, how do we approach a client? Like, now the shift is when we speak to a client, we're not just a mortgage broker, right? We're a financial services business. So, it's about the asset finances, it's about the accounting advice, it's about the buyer's agent process. You know what I mean? So there's different facets in the business that we had to sort of implement and change.
Yeah. And so do you also have financial planning?
No, that's one thing.
Because you said you did your financial planning diploma.
It has been talks of joining with people, but it hasn't worked yet. It is, I think, is my PTSD from being a financial.
Yeah, you're like, just close that door and never open it again.
So I got to deal with that. I have to deal with that first internally.
Sorry to really trigger you there. So looking at then, I guess, the tools and tech you're using, having a growing brokerage, you obviously need to rely on good processes, but also sometimes good systems. So what tools and tech do you use to make your life easier at Simplify?
We try to keep everything within the CRM. So
Sales Tracker?
Sales Tracker, yeah. So we use Sales Tracker. So as much as we have, for example, a marketing tool, which is ActivePipe, or we have, sometimes we use Teams to communicate it internally, and Slack and things like that. Most of what we do, I try to stay within the CRM, because I'm very big on who touched that file, when was the last person that did something, and if that person is not there, if I can go into a file at any time with myself or the team and say we can see log notes and things like that. So I don't think we're that creative in terms of different softwares and all that. I think with AI, we have been building different ways to communicate with our clients. We've been building more of a process in terms of when our emails get sent out, how they look, how they feel. We're building more of a process there in terms of how do we communicate with clients. That's something that we've been working on.
So kind of having like a communication chain.
Yeah, so it's essentially like a platform that if the credit team and myself were comparing lenders, we just click a few buttons and then the email spits out and auto-populate. It's HTML and it looks better. That's really where we're investing recently.
Is that through ActivePipe or through different platforms?
No, I'm doing it myself with Claude. Oh. So I've been coding.
Yes.
And learning how to do it. But it's been
Claude is a slippery slope. You end up just spending hours and you're like, where did the day go?
It's been 2 hours of me doing that. So now I've been doing that, and my business partner, James, in the asset business as well. We saw a gap there on how do we communicate. It could be better. And then sort of AI fixes that. Yeah.
James Cerolini.
Yes.
Saralini.
Yeah, I call him Saralini. Maybe we should call him and double check.
It's Italian. Well, we did a podcast with him, so I should know back in the day. I'll actually leave that in the show notes because he's talking about his asset finance business. But it's a few years ago, so obviously the experience of his experience now and his experience later then would have been quite different. I think you're right. I think it is Saralini.
Yeah.
I'm just saying Cerolini.
I actually always said that
Italian.
Until now you question. I was like, oh, maybe I'm...
No, I think it would be, I don't know. Anyway, when we look then at the kinds of loans you're writing, so you mentioned about having, a bit of everything. Back in the A&P days, you're doing a lot of equity release. You mentioned about kind of, McGrath having some SMSF people. Like what does your kind of bread and butter client look like now?
Right now is investor. Yeah, we're still very heavily focused on how to build wealth through property. How to get to 2, 3, 4, 5 properties, self-managed super fund. So all the good stuff that has been recently changed.
Ripped up, yeah. So how are you finding that process? Because obviously it's been a couple of months now. We've kind of got used to what's happening. Yeah. That was a frantic few weeks for us as journalists, just covering the budget and then everything that happened afterwards was like, oh my goodness, we don't want to sleep. But for you guys, it's super busy now trying to get everyone, I imagine, sorted before the 10th of August.
Yeah, that has been a challenge. Again, do I agree? There's a whole conversation about it that we can have another day. But I think for us is the market's so big. The way I look at my business, we're a tiny part of it, and we shouldn't let ourselves be dictated by the market. We always have to evolve. And I suppose what happened is, again, just opportunity. Confusion creates need for advice. Like people want now more than ever to talk to a broker, and you have to have the right system in place, and every conversation doesn't have to lead to a next mortgage, but that guidance you will pay back later on in 6 months' time when someone calls you for it. So I think for us has been challenging in terms of getting ready and fulfilling everyone's inquiries, because everyone's sort of rushed into it, which I don't necessarily agree.
Yeah.
A lot of people started setting up funds in a hurry, and buyers agents are like, you can buy 3 properties in the next 3 weeks. And I'm like, it's all these sorts of things that are byproduct of when the government influences the market, which I don't love.
You always get spruikers, don't you? But I think this is also the thing is why credit advice is so important, and particularly from brokers, is being like, you don't realize what goes into this. And obviously you can't be advising on SMSF structures, but like kind of a lot of people, even just anecdotally with my friends being like, I've seen this is happening. How do I get into it? Like last minute. And I'm like, don't, it's too late. Yeah. It's too late. And also talk to your financial planner first.
Exactly. There's a whole process to get to that level.
And it's expensive, you've got to set up all the trust and everything. Anyway, so how are you dealing with, as a brokerage that deals with investors, specializes in investors, how are you dealing with the change? Like, are you having to pivot to commercial SMSF, for example?
A little bit, but I still think when you look at the changes, right, and you actually, yes, the negative gearing is gone, but there's still a market for it. Like I still believe in property. I don't think we're going to have any issues. And again, the market is slowing down, which for me is an opportunity to maybe potentially look at areas that, you can find, something at a good price because the market's sort of taking back. So now I think we haven't really done a big shift into commercial, like within Super, yes, because of the accounting practice.
Yeah.
We did start going more towards commercial, which is great, which is an area that I didn't have a lot of expertise or exposure in the past. But now I think that the investors, which to be honest are my clients, people that have multiple properties, are still buying. They just got to be more careful in terms of cash flow. How do we hold the third and the fourth property? How do we structure that? And from a tax perspective, if trust is no longer an option, just things like that. But again, I like it. Like, it just creates the need to people to call you. And they're like, what do I do next?
Yeah.
And if you build a business that people come to you, every time something negative happens, you get the phone call and say, tell me what to do next, as opposed to just the calls that are people complaining about, the changes.
Interest rates, yeah.
Yeah. Or the government.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break here, Fabio. When we come back, I'd like to talk to you about what challenges and opportunities you see in the broking industry as a whole, what you do to unwind and de-stress, and your top advice for new brokers just starting out. We'll get into it just after this message. So looking to the future, you've already got grand plans for this year, building out your team, embedding them in, growing out the business. So walk me through like what you actually see as this time next year. If I was to bring you back in the end of FY.
How much time do you have?
Yeah, FY27. But like, what do you want to be like? This is my year. Do you set goals like that? Firstly, do you kind of go FY or calendar year goals?
Yeah, I do. I do financial year, which now my GM laughs and say, I don't want to be in your head, because every year there's a new challenge, there's a new goal. I think for me, I achieved pretty much what I wanted out of life. Like, I came to Australia with, just on my own, and I have the opportunity to have a family and look after them and all that. So for me, everything that I do here is just that drive to be better. We have such a small time in life, just make the most out of it. So that to me is just really building the next thing. So for us is just continue to grow the group and grow the brand, which is the biggest mind shift, right? It's not about me, it's about the brand. And how do we do that? How do we change? And it goes as little as, getting the BDMs to be comfortable calling my team, not me. And it's that shift, right? When you start doing that, you go through that, for all everyone listening and wanting to do it or doing it, you go through this guilt process because people will just say, oh, that means you're doing less. You're not doing less, you're just doing different things, right? Yeah. So if I'm not there available to take a BDM call, it's not because I'm playing golf. It's just I'm doing something else. And I want the team to build that relationship with the BDM. So then it becomes about the business, not myself.
Yeah.
So I don't think I answer your question.
So come FY, end of FY27, like what are the main goals for this year? basically.
Grow the brokerage, like grow the number of brokers, but in a very structured and sustainable way. As I said before, I don't want to be 100 brokers deep and having brokers writing 2 mil a year. Like I want to build a team that really the way we see it is adding value, constantly being the specialist for our clients, and then just building a more efficient business as opposed to just numbers and bums on seat, if that makes sense.
Yeah. When you think about the industry as well, because obviously as a BDM before and now having to work with BDMs, like I'm always interested to see like, what was it like? Like, did it prepare you, do you think, of being a BDM to becoming a broker?
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
And does it change now how you talk to BDMs?
He always did. I think, and again, I don't think it happens anymore. So let's preface that. But I think when I started, I think brokers would see BDM as just someone in the way to get to a result, as opposed to seeing someone that can help them grow their business. So when I started, it was very different. Like I wanted, this is a need. Like if you look at, for example, when I started my business and I had real estate leads and they're very fast paced and you got to turn them around. So then for me it was like, how do I associate myself with the BDMs that allow me to be that broker? So when you look at a BDM right now, it's look at them as part of your team, as part of your business, because they can be.
Yeah.
And I think that mind shift is getting better. But when I was a BDM, it was always, and especially being a BDM for a non-major, right? So when you call and they're like, oh, why? What do you want? Like, I don't write AMP anyway, so don't. And then you're trying to break that barrier. So,
please take my call.
But that sort of taught me on how to obviously treat BDMs later on in my career.
And I think, again, like, you know, from doing the New Broker podcast, so many of them are kind of say that is the absolute gold mine, like relying on the knowledge of the BDM. So you don't know everyone's credit policy yet. You don't know how to structure deals 100%. In a way that the bank will like or the lender will like. So relying on their knowledge and their experience to help you out and get to hit the ground running.
They're very important to your business,
Well done, BDMs. Good job. And the other thing I want to talk about is kind of like, well, how do you manage the volume and the stress and everything of building a business? Because so much of what we do as self-employed brokers is kind of, you know, obviously dealing with the day-to-day, doing the broking stuff, so dealing with clients, but then you also have to deal with the business and, you know, superannuation changes and, you know, like payroll tax stuff and paying invoices on time and all the kind of business running stuff as well on top of it, plus being the marketer and everything like that. How do you manage and counterbalance the stress that comes with being a small business owner, particularly when you're in a growth phase?
I had to learn that along the way. Because of my personality, I had to burn out a few times, which I'm assuming a lot of people can relate to it. When you start and you start doing really well, and again, we're all learning, right? No one knows everything. We're just sitting here, we're all trying. Some people try more than less, and the ones that try more succeed. That's the way life is. So for me, I had to go through a few lessons myself, and then put some really strong barriers. So I like to call my day as structured chaos. So I go at very structured hours, which most people are saying it's not possible. It is, but it just works for me, right? So I'm on 9 to 6, Monday to Friday. And 9 to 6 is chaos, like, which most people look at me as like, I can't do that. But at 6 o'clock, I'm done. At 9 o'clock, at 8:30, I'm not there. So that to me, and it's Monday to Friday. And I know the broking point of difference to a bank is you're available, I don't know, some people say 7 days a week or weekends. It's just not me, just because you got to accept who you are. So for me is 9 to 6, I'm there. Like sometimes don't even eat lunch, which is not great, but you're there. But outside of those hours, I am not there. Like I don't even look at my phone.
So what are you doing?
In the morning. I'm not a morning person, so I need hours to get there. So I'm at 6 o'clock, I go to the gym, and then I have a 2-year-old son. And for me, that's my time with him. So I go from 7 to like 8:30, no phones, just me and him. And then at 6 o'clock is when I'm back, is always dinner with the family and then bathing him and putting him to bed. So for me, you just got to block yourself. Like you don't have to be like, oh, Monday at 3 p.m. I do this. Like that didn't work for me. Some people do.
Time blocking.
But I'm very bad at time blocking, but I do block my day. And within those hours is just
family time. Yeah.
Outside
family
of that,
time and
family
then work time.
Yeah, that's it.
The other question I want to ask you about is like, well, having been in a broker now for 10 years and seeing all the kind of change that we've gone through over that time, what do you think could be improved? Like if you were king of the broking industry for a day, what would you change?
As an industry or?
As an industry or, as, lending products.
I do agree that clawback can be better, but I don't agree that it shouldn't exist. I think you always have to look at from a bank's perspective as well. There is still a business, right? So they still have to be sustainable. So I think it could be better. I think it could be a more sharing the pain kind of relationship, which a lot of the banks are getting better at it. They are sort of doing the scaling of the clawback, or if you sold your property, if there's a property that's being sold and it's not your fault, then we can talk about it. I know ING came out.
Yeah, I was like, I know who you're talking about.
Which is great. But like, to be honest, I think sometimes, and again, you can build those relationships to have conversations with banks. I had situations that you go and you present a case and you show that you have nothing to do with it and you're like 2 days out. And a lot of lenders, they will have that conversation with you, fair call. So yeah. I think clawback is definitely something that needs to be discussed. I'm not an advocate that it shouldn't be there because we're all running businesses and big or small, we all have to run a profit. I think it's an opportunity to open a discussion to improve.
Yeah. And there's great work going on by the associations and the aggregators to constantly keep this in the headlines. So I feel like
which again we do us so well.
Yes.
Like look at the Royal Commission and how we got together, and you compare that to financial planning.
Yeah.
Like we as an industry, we build something incredible, and we should be very proud of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking to the future then. Speaking of looking to the future and kind of how we've progressed over the last 10 years, what do you think the next sort of evolution of broking is? Like, do you think it's about becoming more credit advisors? Is it about diversifying and providing more share of wallet to clients? Is it about kind of getting clients earlier and, when they're still in school and teaching them financial literacy? Like, what's the kind of...
A bit of both. I think there's always a market for everything. I think the advice piece and the guidance is always going to be there. I think when you start talking to younger clients, they do a lot more research, but they still still come for advice, right? They still call you. The whole I'm doing everything myself, I'm not a big believer yet on this part of people's journeys, like, because it's not just about getting the loan, right? Otherwise, there was no brokers in Australia. Banks will do really, really well. It's really, okay, now I understand what product, but like, how do I do this? How do I get to buy my first home? How do I save? What is out there that can help me get to, my first home, my second property? So I think looking forward, the advice piece will be more and more important. I think the product offering within your business, again, not necessarily having it internally, but as I said, have a team around you of referral partners that can offer pretty much everything that they need. And that's why I'm building what I'm building, is essentially you come to us and we can do your car loans, your asset finance, we're going to do your insurance, we're going to do your accounting, your buyer's agents. And that to me is building that ecosystem that you can support your clients through their journey, and no matter what time in their journey. I think that's the future that I see the industry.
What kind of insurance?
Looking at commercial insurance, not just your, like, if I'm doing, so a lot of times we do the asset transactions, so we do the trucks and the cars, and then we look at PI insurance and commercial insurance. Yeah.
Okay. And do you need a special license to do that? Or?
Yeah. So we're talking to insurance brokers that can join with us. Everything that I do, is always like a JV. I always partner myself with someone else that is specialized in that field. Yeah.
So if you had any advice for new brokers just starting out in order to succeed in this current environment, because I think like, often when people listen to the podcast, I think especially if they're newbies, they're like, well, your journey is so different to mine because the industry was different.
Yes.
So, I mean, even in 10 years, the industry's changed.
100%.
But if you now were recruiting a new broker and you wanted them to succeed, what advice would you give them?
Don't
do it? No.
Honestly, just be true to what you want to achieve. I think we sit here and we do the podcasts and I love it. But I just feel sometimes, because I was in that space, like when I started out and I used to hear, I don't know if podcast was a thing back then, but other brokers speak and they're doing all these crazy numbers. We're competitive people. Otherwise, you're not in sales. Like, let's all be honest and be true to who you are. And then I used to, and again, maybe that's just me, it used to almost put me off. I'm like, I'm not there. I'm not doing those numbers. And once I was there, and it's nothing special, guys. It's just, I'm just a broker like everyone else.
Yeah.
But I feel like be true to yourself. Know what you want to do. When I started, I knew what I wanted to do, which was to run a business. And then I stayed true to that. But if you want to be a one-man band, which I already said it's going to be harder, but if that's what you truly want, if you want to just, find a work-life balance, that you want to work really hard, but then provide to your family, just do that.
Yeah.
Block out some of the noise out there and then just stay true to who you want to be as a broker. If you want to be a single man or a small broker, if you want to be a big broker, just stick to that. There's no right or wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I agree. Like when we had our Better Business Summit earlier this year, I think it was in Victoria, someone had asked a question and said, a lot of our topics are about scaling. And they were like, I'm pretty happy with where I am.
Yeah.
Do I have to scale? And I was like, the whole point in life is to be happy. If you're happy, stay there. Don't scale. We're not telling you to do it. Just if you want to, this is how.
100%.
Yeah.
It's a choice, right? But isn't that amazing to wake up and do something that you choose to do? You actually making a choice. Should I scale or should I not? Like most people don't have that. So we're blessed to have that. So just embrace that, because the ride is very challenging if you don't.
Yeah. Find something you love and do it.
100%.
All right. Well, Fabio De Castro, that's a lovely note to leave on. Thank you so much for your time here and telling us about how you built Simplify Finance. And if you've got any questions for me or for Fabio, then do feel free to reach out. You can reach me at editor@theadvisor.com.au. Fabio, Simplify Finance.
.com.au. I'm sure you can find me.
And of course, take a listen back to previous episodes in the Advisor Podcast Network to find out how other leading brokers are building their brokerages. Plus, we have podcasts with new brokers, the What's Making Headlines podcast, where we chat about what we've been writing about over the week, and In Focus, where we're looking at deep dives into what the lenders, aggregators, and associations are up to as well. There's all there on the Advisor Podcast Network, wherever you get your podcasts. We hope you have a fab week, and we'll catch you next time for another episode on The Advisor.